Good morning, everyone. Your morning weather briefing for this July 26th finds that there are no major changes in the forecast versus what I presented yesterday morning. Temperature and rainfall outlooks this morning, still the situation that through the opening a few days of August, we are looking at basically nothing in the way of heat in the Corn Belt. A lot of the area are going to be seeing some below and even much below normal temperatures during that time frame before we do see a return to some near or even above normal temperatures for especially around August 5th and beyond. 6 to 10 day and 11 to 15 day rainfall forecasts, generally speaking, are consistent with what I presented yesterday. For the QPF time frame, I do consider this QPF map to be somewhat dry in some portions of the Corn Belt and somewhat wet in others. Let's first of all look at where I think that it is too dry, and that would be in northwestern portion of Missouri and areas to the west of there. That dry pocket that this map is showing is largely based on the overnight run of the GFS operational model, which I just think is not a wise decision on the part of the Weather Prediction Center. The area that I just circled there, I would think would have really good coverage of at least some half to 1 inch rainfall amounts in this time frame in question. Now, at the same time as it goes for a southeastern and eastern portion of the Corn Belt, I think that that will be an area that will eventually see some very nice rains, but I think that a lot of the rain in that area that I just circled is not going to be falling until Tuesday, and this particular map only goes out through Monday. Other than those two areas, I really do not have any disagreements with this forecast map and do believe the very nice, significant, even heavy rainfall totals that this map forecasts for the hardwood winter wheat belt and for a big portion of the Mid-South. Note that a lot of the rainfall that is shown in the Corn Belt is not going to be starting until tomorrow night, and for the Mid-South is not going to be starting until Sunday, so there is still ample time for this forecast to be adjusted in the near term. For the day 6 to 7 time frame, I also think that this will be a period when the forecast in particular is a little bit too dry. I think that the period in question is going to be drying out for the western Corn Belt, but to the right of the line that I just drew there for eastern Illinois and points eastward, I think that this period can feature better rainfall totals than this map would suggest. High temperatures yesterday in the Corn Belt, some low 90s was seen in far southwestern portion of the region, otherwise fairly mild temperatures. Again, note the extreme heat that we once again saw yesterday in southern portion of the Plain States with temperatures there above 100 degrees. 18-hour rainfall totals through 1 o'clock this morning. I did see some rainfall working its way back into the northwestern Corn Belt over the last 24 hours. Spotty locations saw significant rainfall amounts, but a lot of areas saw nothing at all. If you're looking at any solid coverage of rainfall, that would be in the hardwood winter wheat belt. You can see that on the radar estimated rainfall map this morning. Again, notice that any sort of significant rains in the northwestern and northern portion of the Corn Belt, very localized in nature, a much more significant and solid rainfall event over the last 24 hours in the hardwood winter wheat belt. A number of locations out there in western Kansas seeing rainfall amounts of more than a half inch or even more than an inch. Early morning radar on this Thursday is still showing scattered areas of rainfall are still falling early on this Thursday in portions of the hardwood winter wheat belt. With regards to the forecast for today and for the daytime hours for tomorrow, it does look like a big portion of the Corn Belt is going to be seeing nothing in the way of rainfall during that time frame. Good model agreement on that. Any rainfall that is seen for today and also for the daytime hours tomorrow are going to be just in far southeast, far southwestern, and far northeastern portions of the Corn Belt region. We will be then seeing more significant and more widespread rainfall developing in far western portions of the Corn Belt for tomorrow night. And that system in question is going to be bringing rainfall to the Corn Belt through at least Monday, if not into Tuesday of next week. That is a little bit longer rainfall threat than what I have been suggesting so far this week. It is going to be an upper level system. Here's that upper level system as of 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday, still centered at that time in western portion of the Corn Belt, so it would still be producing good rains at that time in southern portion of the Corn Belt, probably starting to get into eastern areas as well. Note that by the time we get to Tuesday morning on today's maps, upper level low pressure system at that time deepening even more and really has not moved a whole lot. And with an upper level low in a position like that, that would certainly be suggestive of additional rains even on Tuesday for especially eastern portions of the Corn Belt region. So we're looking at 5-day rainfall forecast for the period from 7 p.m. tomorrow evening through 7 p.m. On August 1st. It is still a situation where I do believe that it will be a southern portion of the Corn Belt much more favor for rainfall versus the North. A little bit better model agreement this morning, in particular with the European operational model turning a lot more optimistic on rainfall in the southern Corn Belt versus what it suggested yesterday. Overall, my opinion, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, central southern Illinois, central southern Indiana, and Ohio is going to be your most favorite area for rainfall from tomorrow night through late in the day on Tuesday. That area should be seeing significant, if not excellent, coverage of half to inch and a half rainfall amounts with some locally heavier totals. Much more limited rainfall amounts to the north of there. Still believing that it would be the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, northern Illinois, and portions of Wisconsin that'll be seeing the most limited amounts of rainfall for at least the next week. A lot of that area is seeing less than a half inch of rainfall during that time frame. Should be seeing some very nice rains in the mid-south and southeast as well. For the mid-south, some of that rain starting to fall on Sunday. There are better rainfall totals there for Monday and Tuesday of next week. A temperature forecast, still one that features no heat in the Corn Belt through the opening couple days of the month of August. Your temperature anomalies for this Thursday. Note that especially cool weather for this Thursday in the western Corn Belt, central and northern portion of the Plain States, a big portion of the northern plains and into the far northwestern Corn Belt. Looking at temperatures for today running more than 10 degrees below normal. Again, that lack of heat is going to continue through the opening couple days of August. Your temperature anomaly forecast from the European model for August 2nd. Note that basically the entire middle of the country looking at below normal temperatures at that time. Still a good portion of the northern and northwestern Corn Belt and into the northern plains still featuring temperatures for next Thursday running more than 10 degrees below normal. As far as your longer-term rainfall forecast is concerned, I do still believe that the second week of the two-week forecast is going to be featuring additional rainfall chances for the Corn Belt. Details certainly need to be worked out. I do still believe that there can be some rainfall again developing in portions of the Corn Belt for late next Thursday and continuing through the end of the 10-day time frame, which would take us out through August 5th. Confidence on that is a little bit lower this morning. You can see that for around the Thursday night time frame of next week that the GFS operational model is still showing a rainfall threat to be working its way back into the western Corn Belt at that time. And note that the European ensemble is at least into some modest agreement with that rainfall forecast. At the same time, though, the Canadian model on the bottom left has lost a lot of that rainfall threat. It had it yesterday, and it's still a situation where the European operational model is not really seeing the rainfall threat at all. So at this point, still do believe that latter portion of the 6 to 10 day period is going to be featuring some rainfall chances to be moving back into the Corn Belt. Confidence on that a little bit less this morning due to the fact that the European model still doesn't show it and the Canadian model has backed off to some degree as well. With regards to your longer term rainfall chances, still a situation where any dome of high pressure is going to be in southwestern portion of the nation with a modest northwesterly flow aloft in the Corn Belt. I do believe that that is a situation that is going to be keeping rainfall chances in the Corn Belt as we get in towards the 11 to 15 day time frame. The fact that temperatures will be warmer in that period indicating that the jet stream will be lifting further northward, that the storm track will be lifting further northward, makes me believe that for a lot of the Corn Belt, the rainfall chances in the week 2 time frame could actually be a little bit better than what we see in the week 1 period as well. Again, with that lifting of the jet stream further northward, you can see that from the map that I just showed and from this map at the end of the 11 to 15 day period. Still a dome of high pressure in southwestern portion of the nation, but more of a northerly track to the jet stream at that time. It would be indicating that some warmer temperatures are going to be seen for around the August 4th, 5th time frame and beyond that. The exact nature of how extreme that heat will be is not a matter of model agreement at this time. Looking at temperature anomalies just for August 6th, you can see that the GFS ensemble there in the upper left really not indicating much more than normal to slightly above normal temperatures in the Corn Belt. The Canadian ensemble slightly more bullish on the above normal temperatures, and it remains the European ensemble that is most bullish on a return to above normal temperatures for latter portions of the 11 to 15 day period for around August 5th and beyond. At this point, my forecast is still kind of a blend of all of these models. In general, my 11 to 15 day temperature forecast is too warm if the GFS ensemble tends to be correct. It is too cool, though, if the European ensemble tends to be more correct. With regards to international weather, mostly below normal rainfall in European summer row crop areas. That is especially the case in eastern areas where a lot of that region going to be seeing little or nothing in the way of rainfall for the next 10 days, especially for eastern Ukraine and areas to the east of there. Mostly above normal temperatures for the next 10 days. That means a lot of 90 to locally 95 plus degree heat during that period for southeastern Ukraine and into a lot of southern region. A forecast for Europe, if anything, is drying out further in western portions of that area. Still some very nice rain is going to be seen for the next 2 weeks. A lot of that during the next 10 days for the corn areas of southeastern Europe. Poland's still looking at some fairly decent rains for the next 2 weeks as well. A lot of that during the next 10 days. But note how dry the forecast is for western portion of Europe. Really nothing in the way of rainfall for France and Germany for today and tomorrow. And any rain that is going to be seen there looking very light, very spotty for the rest of the 2 week time frame as well. It would not be surprising at all to see France, in particular, for the entire 2 week time frame, see rainfall totals ending up easily below a half inch for the entirety of the 2 week period. Above normal temperatures is going to be common across Western Europe as well during this dry period. We have seen 90s become relatively common across large portions of France and Germany for the past 2 days. Look for those 90-degree highs to be even more widespread for today and tomorrow. Likely going to be seeing some areas at 95 to 100 degrees. I will admit, though, that will probably be the worst of the heat for at least the next 10 days for those areas. We can see the high temperatures that have been seen across Western Europe yesterday. Note that a lot of the area in Germany and France did see highs above 90 degrees. Again, look for that heat to be more widespread for today and tomorrow, and the extreme highs being warmer as well. There you can see the forecast for today. Look at the extensive area of 90 plus degree heat in western portions of Europe. Again, a similar situation for tomorrow before temperatures moderate for Saturday. A forecast has become drier once again for the spring grain areas of the former Soviet Union. Pretty limited rainfall there now indicated for the next 10 days. Looking at near to below normal rainfall for Chinese corn and soybean areas. A little bit of modest rain today anywhere in the Manchurian corn and soybean areas. Then any rainfall for the next week confined to Heilongjiang, with Liaoning and Jilin drying out during that period. For the North China Plain, some nice rain is going to be seen across the heart of that growing area for today through the weekend. Should be some nice rainfall amounts in that area that I just circled, 3/4 of an inch to as much as 2 inches. Otherwise, the forecast for the next 2 weeks pretty dry across the North China Plain as well. All sorts of above normal temperatures in the 2 week forecast will be equating to no shortage of 90 plus degree highs for the North China Plain. Still a fairly dry forecast for the Canadian prairies. A lot of the rainfall that is shown in this map, but not going to be falling until very late in the 10-day time frame. You can see that even then, Saskatchewan seeing particularly limited totals. Some warmth in the forecast for Canada on Monday. Otherwise, a 2 week forecast still very limited in the amounts of heat that will be seen. In Australia, we did see some nice rains over the last 24 hours in portions of the Western Australian wheat area, and that area could be continuing to see close to normal rainfall for the next 2 weeks. That'll also be the case for South Australia and Victorian wheat areas. Your driest portion of the winter wheat area of Australia for the next 2 weeks will continue to be New South Wales. Finishing up this morning in India, monsoon could certainly look a lot better than it is over the next 2 weeks. Note the below normal rainfall that'll be seen for the next 2 weeks for southern and western portion of India. Any above normal rainfall mainly for northern portions of Madhya Pradesh and areas to the north of there. That's what I have for your Thursday. Everyone have themselves a great day.